been no communication with Ossenfort and Kyler Murray or new Cardinals head coach Michael LaFleur and Kyler Murray. Now, it doesn't mean that Ossenfort's lying. This could be Kyler Murray's camp putting that out there to be like, yeah, we actually have it because he wants out. So I don't know who's lying. Somebody's not telling the truth. This is like, if you've ever had this, if you're a parent, and I have this, right, with my young child, where I have friends that have young children, and because you get that whiff in the air, somebody pooped. But you're not sure who. It could be one of several people. You really have to really sniff to find out. Someone pooped in the same way. Someone's lying here. And I don't know who it is. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. As Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would say, it doesn't matter who's lying. It doesn't matter. It could be Ossenfort, it could be Kyler, it could be Kyler's agent. It could be Call of Duty. It doesn't make a difference. Someone's lying. And what the lie means, regardless of who it's coming from, is that these two teams are headed towards a schism, which is like an SAT word for a divorce or a separation. I just wanted to say it. Kyler Murray is not going to be a Cardinal next season. And, I shouldn't say that definitively because it's sports and life and crazy things happen. Weird things happen all the time. So I don't want to say it's 100% that Kyler is going to be not a Cardinal next year. But it certainly seems like, and if you had asked me yesterday, I would have said, let's say 65-35, he's gone. Let's be honest about this, right? What would you say is the percent chance Kyler's back in Arizona? I kind of feel it's 15%, 85 he's gone, 15 he stays. Maybe even 90-10. And I acknowledge there's a percent chance he returns. I can be wrong. It just feels like at this point, these two sides are headed towards a divorce. Now, we can have an Arizona conversation about this if and when it happens, and they trade whatever happens with Kyler Murray. My sense is the Cardinals will make a run at Malik Willis if and when that happens, given, obviously, the relation between Mike and Matt LaFleur, brothers, and that Malik Willis was really good with Matt in Green Bay. I am sure that his brother Mike is aware of this, and they're going to run a similar offensive system. So maybe Malik Willis is the answer, because remember, and this plays into the New York Jets also. In the NFL draft, the Jets pick second and the Cardinals pick third. By all accounts, this is a one-quarterback draft with Fernando Mendoza. And Mendoza's going to go first to the Raiders, and then maybe Ty Simpson goes in the first round. Drew Aller's going to throw. It feels like Drew Aller's going to be the guy that rises up draft boards. I have nothing to base that on. Just kind of feels that way. So if you're the Jets, but this is an Arizona conversation for now, you're probably not drafting a quarterback at 3. So what do you do if Kyler's not there? I think Malik Willis might be the answer to that question. Now, John Eric Sullivan, the Dolphins GM, also talked about Malik Willis yesterday, so we'll see. He's going to get paid, though. $30, $35, $40 million a year for Malik Willis. Everybody, get ready for that. You bet on this Wednesday. Nick Kostos here with you, Westwood One Sports. And now, we can return to the Minnesota Vikings. And this is how I see it for Minnesota. They are going to add another quarterback. How do we know? They're telling us. So they're going to add another quarterback at minimum to compete with J.J. McCarthy, if not outright take his job. Let's consider some of the options. Derek Carr. I paused for a second there to let everybody laugh. If the Vikings sign Derek Carr, I want Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah to do an Instagram live, cackling while smoking a blunt. Just laugh on Instagram live if that happens. So forget about Derek Carr. Aaron Rodgers. Okay. I don't love it, but you could see it. Kirk Cousins. Falcons are going to release him. He knows the system. Won 1 million games in the regular season with Kevin O'Connell. Went 4-0 down the stretch last season in Atlanta, 7 touchdowns against 2 interceptions in the final 4 games of the season. And if I had to choose, and this is not a career conversation, it's obviously Aaron Rodgers. Obviously. Not even in the same galaxy. But I think for 2026, if I had to choose, I actually think I'd take Cousins. Which, again, just I need to say this so people understand. I think Aaron Rodgers is like a top 7 quarterback of all time. Cousins doesn't even sniff that list. But at this point, given Rodgers' advanced age, I think I'd actually take, not by a lot, but I think I'd actually, and in this situation with O'Connell, I think I'd actually take Kirk Cousins, as crazy as that might sound. All right, so let's take those options. We can include Carr if we want to. You can put Malik Willis there in as well, although I think Willis is likely to go elsewhere, would be my guess. Like, I think Malik Willis wants to go and, like, be the guy somewhere, not have J.J. McCarthy there. But Willis is certainly an option for Minnesota as well. So let's consider, right, where Minnesota is in its team build. Like, where are they right now? Where's the championship window? It's important to consider. And Kevin O'Connell's considering it because he's telling you he is. He's talking about the timeline changing for his team. The Minnesota Vikings are ready to win now. Last year, they were ready to win. They were ready to win in 24 when they won 14 games with Sam Darnold. So they like kind of have to win now. We don't know how long the window's going to be open for. And they were lucky that the NFL screwed this up again and Brian Flores comes back as defensive coordinator. I think the best DC, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. So if your aspirations are to win the Super Bowl, like not to go 9-8, not to go like 10-7 and lose in the wild card round. If your aspirations are to win the Super Bowl, is Derek Carr the swing that you're taking? Is Aaron Rodgers the answer to the question? Is Kirk Cousins the guy you want to pin the hopes of a Super Bowl championship on? Like, the answers to these questions are no, right? Like, I'm not crazy. Like, no. Not that they can't go to the playoffs with those guys. Super Bowl? No way. So again, if it's Super Bowl, and we know that that's true, Kyler Murray's the answer to the question. Am I insinuating right now that Kyler Murray is a Super Bowl quarterback? No. I don't know that he is. In fact, I think if, set a betting market, is Kyler Murray going to win a Super Bowl? No would be a huge favorite. It would be. It absolutely would be. And the Vikings, if they were to trade for Kyler Murray, would have to make some salary. Like, they can do it. They'd have to restructure some contracts. Like, Aaron Jones would have to get really... They'd have to... They can make it happen, but they'd have to do some maneuvering. The reason why I'm saying it's Kyler Murray for Minnesota, and he needs to be the option for the Vikings, if the Cardinals choose to move on from him, which we think he will, we laid the reasons out why. Kyler, at least, has the hypothetical upside, especially with Kevin O'Connell and with those weapons. The hypothetical upside where you can see it. You might have to squint, but you can see it popping for 1 year in Minnesota with Kyler Murray. I don't think you can see it with Rodgers. I don't think you can see it with Cousins. I don't think you can see it with Carr. Maybe it's Malik Willis, but again, I think we have more of an idea of what Kyler is at this point than Malik Willis is more of an unknown than Kyler. Like, Kyler's been to the playoffs before. Didn't play, got blown out in the game. Like, he started a playoff game. He's been there. So if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm a Vikings fan, give me Kyler Murray. The timeline has changed. They can't afford to wait for J.J. McCarthy. They have a team that's ready to win. You have to give them a quarterback that can actually potentially win at the highest level. For me, that quarterback is Kyler Murray. We'll take a quick break here on You Better You Bet. We've got so much more NFL to do on the show. I actually don't know how we're going to get all of it in. I'm going to attempt to get all of it in. I still want to talk about Kyler Murray and the New York Jets. We got to get into Trent Williams and the San Francisco 49ers and the huge mistake I think Sean Payton is making as head coach of the Denver Broncos. 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@ the Kostos. On the other side, Bill Zimmerman will join us. Our crew will join us. We will play a game with the crew, and then we'll get back to the National Football